Council of Austin. My name is Dan Hamilton. I'm really excited today to be joined by three entrepreneurs from Austria who are part of the 3DS program. So Berna, I will let you start with introductions. Just tell us a little bit about who you are and what business venture you're pursuing.
My name is Berna Epic, and I'm currently working on Business Lunch, which is part of a gastronomy solution, as I work full-time in the gastronomy, in the hotel and the restaurant section. And I do a lot of other things, mainly for the ecosystem of Austria, of Austrian startup scene, such as the Entrepreneurship Avenue. I've been head organizer this year. Eva was one the previous year, so working tightly together, and also the Future Ball, which brings together all the visionary people, the influencers, and tries to get the best out of Austria and Vienna.
Yeah. My name is Eva Keifenheim, and I grew up in Germany, but decided to move to Austria 2 years ago, and that's where I'm currently living. And I had the opportunity to experience a lot of different cultures throughout my educational career. So I really appreciate diversity, and that also taught me the importance of education. And that's why I'm sitting here today, or why I'm in Austin, because I really want to change how education works. And I created a business called My Future Academy. And what we're doing is we're creating a learning space which enables young people to live up to their potential. And that's one part of the site where I'm active in. And the other side is an organization that was originally founded in the United States. It's called Teach for All. And I'm proud to be a fellow at Teach for Austria and educate young kids in the classroom as well.
Hi, I'm Manuel. I'm 23 years old, currently studying business law at the University of Innsbruck, also in Austria. And I came here with a project that's into data privacy issues. We support users in taking the rights of requests for information based on the GDPR, which you might have heard of.
So for those in the audience who may not have heard of 3DS, can you tell us a little bit about what the program is?
Sure. I'll start off with the program. 3DS is a really cool program that chooses 14 individuals for the Checkpoint program. There are two programs, one foundation, one Checkpoint. The Checkpoint is which we are doing, so that's a little bit more advanced. And they guide us through mentorship, a lot of networking. They help us with all different kinds of needs that we have and questions. And it's really amazing because we have also cultural activities in our program, so it's really important that we also get to know Austin as a startup hub, Austin as a spirit, actually,
and be on the roads and that sort of
breakfast,
thing.
tacos, all of it. Like yesterday we watched chicken shitting on
Chicken shit bingo, right?
Yeah.
That was an experience.
Crazy.
It was amazing. We're looking forward to those things as well. So it's not like only business and getting to know people, but also like the culture, the spirit, and everyone's being so nice to us. Yeah.
Exactly. And the experience is also what makes this program so special, because we meet as well the business side, but also the local community. And what we experience here is something very unique. The culture obviously is different in Austria, so we really benefit from the program in terms of knowledge exchange with the local community here.
Let me ask you this. What would you say the most important trait or personality trait that you have that has helped you excel in business?
That's difficult. I think for me, myself, it's basically my family, as well my mother, as well as my father, who are both really interesting people for me. And for example, my mother started her career in law and made here her thesis for her law degree in data privacy 30 years ago in September 1988. Yeah.
That's a pretty credible launching point, huh? To be able to connect your family history with what you're currently doing.
Yeah, that's it's fortunate. It's really fortunate. And if you look back in the first when I started off with the data privacy project I'm currently on, I didn't really realize that my mother was doing almost the same thing like 30 years ago and in her studies. And it turned out when I was talking to her and asking her some questions about it that she actually wrote her thesis on exactly the same topic, which is quite nice.
And so, what would you say that your either personality trait is, or an experience that you think has made you successful at what you do?
So, building on what Manuel just said, I think the support from your network is really crucial. So, what helped me the most is advice and opinions from people around me. They can be family, friends. But what's a trait that's helping in this network is radical openness. So I would say being open to feedback, also some critical feedback, has helped me a lot to improve on my endeavors.
Mm.
Yeah.
Intrinsic motivation, like always trying to be better than you've used to be or than you were like the last day. So not only the external is so immense and so important, but also don't forget the intrinsic things, like to be positive, to be open, as Eva said, to be, I don't know how to say, to have this spirit, this
A
starter
desire
spirit
for what you're doing.
Yes.
So I think that's really interesting, because there's kind of a difference between, you were talking about the external and the internal. But from my understanding is your internal drive has actually been put into a motto. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you tell the audience what that motto is and how they can apply it to maybe try to like build some of that inertia?
Sure. There are two things that I actually really like. The first one is you should care enough to at least try. So a lot of people are like, I couldn't do this, or I'm in lack of that. And I don't think you should think like that. You should also always like analyze what you're lacking and thinking of how you can maybe consult someone to get better in it, or people always help you with things that you cannot really do, but don't take it as an excuse, because you will never be able to do everything, right? So just analyze it and be positive. Say, okay, I can't do that in a perfect way, but I know someone that can, and I can do other things that I'm really good at, right? And then you join forces and you do incredible things instead of just giving up and say, oh, I know I can't do that.
That's not it. So do you feel a similar intrinsic desire to pursue education? And what does that mean to you?
That's a good question. And actually, I was reflecting on that question very recently, as I just graduated and started my new job. So
congratulations on graduation.
Thanks. So education is, in my opinion, the most important topic we currently have in our society. And there's also a story behind it, why I think so. So when I grew up in a rural village, education was there, but there was no awareness of the importance of education. So I am from a non-academic family. Most of the people stay in the village or in the same area. And because of my friends and a lot of luck, I decided to go to study. And that was a great experience, obviously. And only later I realized how special that was and how much luck I had to be able to pursue that career. And so my intrinsic motivation, coming back to your question, is to enable more people to choose that path, but consciously, and not out of some luck or some
external pressures on them. Before we move on to your kind of intrinsic daily motivation, you just mentioned that you're from a village where a lot of people end up staying in that community. But through your career, you've actually traveled all over the world, if I'm correct. How do you go from being in a community where people are very comfortable staying in that community to then deciding, you know what, I'm going to travel the world? What was that what bridged those two?
That's also a good question. Thanks for that. So, as I mentioned earlier, I think a very important character trait is openness. So when I left my village to go studying in Frankfurt, I met a lot of people that had all those experiences from the world. And I realized what Werner just said, you can learn a lot from other people. So I asked myself, how can I become better? How can I learn more? And that brought me to the decision to go abroad for working. So I went to India to do my first internship there. I went to Shanghai to build on that work experience. And yeah, I had the pleasure to live in more than 6 countries and to experience all this knowledge from different cultures. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your intrinsic passion. What motivates you on a daily basis in data security or data privacy?
Yeah, I think that you should when you wake up in the morning, you should always think, be unconventional, be innovative, be bold. And most people, when they wake up in the morning, they take a look at their phone. They're using Facebook, they're using Instagram, checking their messages on, in Europe at least, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger. And so these are things that are accompanying us in our daily lives, from the day we get out of bed to the day we go to sleep. And we should know what happens with our personal data. We should have the trust in these services that everything is correct and everything is all right, that they are not misusing our data for things that are not in our interests. And the internet is such a huge part of our life, and it's getting even bigger in the future, that we have to know what happens, and that we also have the trust and the security to know what happens in these systems, and we have the control about our data.
So I'm going to go actually kind of flip the question a little bit, and we can go back around this way. So although there is a kind of an intrinsic motivation that you all have, whether it's your passion for data or education, who is somebody that you look to in your fields specifically to either model yourself after, or maybe you're somebody who early on kind of caught your imagination and pulled you to your field?
I had a pretty great experience in this 3DS exchange program because we got the chance to meet some mentors which were selected by the OSTA. And I got a mentor called Peter Vitalnik, and he works for the European Commission in Washington. And I only got introduced to him like 2 days ago, to his name, and we have a phone call afterwards, and I will meet him hopefully in DC tomorrow or this week. And I think that the things that he's saying, that we have to get trust in the internet, and that the governments have to strengthen the trust in these services is really important, and it's really also affecting me and my opinions on these issues. Yeah,
that's excellent.
Mm-hmm. So one person that's inspiring me in education is Dr. Sir Ken Robinson.
Okay.
And what he's saying is that our schools are still designed from the industrial age. So if you look at it, it's like a factory line. There are bells that determine the start and the end of sessions. There is like a strict schedule. It's everything is predetermined, and you go in there and just like factory workers.
It's like prepackaged almost.
Exactly, there's a curriculum on what you. Yeah, exactly, that's it. So what inspires me about him is his new view on the educational system, and what he's saying is that we should open the space up for more creativity, so that young people can actually design their learning experience more independently and less from a predetermined system. So that really blew up my mind and let me think of some new ways of education.
That's awesome.
That's really cool, and I love that you guys have like someone popping into your mind when you think of that. I'm having a really hard time when I get that question.
Yeah.
Because I feel like everyone's inspiring me, and not only like big names and people having so much impact or writing a book, it's like also the people that I meet in my daily life, right?
Yeah.
If I get to know someone that is passionate about anything, I was talking to Eva that day, and I told her like I got to know a guy who was so passionate into cars, and I could like feel this passion, and it inspired me, not because I love cars and I'm as passionate as him, but his passion was so nice and so positive energies flowing out of that. You know what I mean?
It's almost refreshing too, because I've had a similar experience. When you sit next to somebody and you hear them talk about a passion or something that they are doing, it is really refreshing.
Yeah. It is.
And it really is motivating, I think, to
Yeah.
your point. So let me ask you a little bit about what is the state of international business? I know you travel a lot too. You were just described how you're in many different circles and can talk to just about anyone about anything.
Yeah.
So what is the state of international business?
International business is really important nowadays, I think, because every company that is scaling or that's, wants to be, how do I call it?
Almost transnational or impactful or be able to
Impactful,
reach
that is the word, right?
communities.
Wants to be impactful, they're thinking about how can I go to other countries, how can I get to know other communities, everything's so global and big and everything, and even people from our checkpoint program consider thinking of, okay, I might work in the valley with my startup business, when someone from Austria goes to Silicon Valley in order to build their company there, that's so international and that's amazing, and I love that.
Can I ask you this a little bit? Now that you have traveled and you have seen other business cultures around the world, what would you say is a difference or something you learned, and maybe in Silicon Valley, that is different from the way business is approached from Vienna? Is there a difference?
Yeah, there are a lot of differences.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe I was like, oh, maybe I just made a big assumption there that I shouldn't have.
No.
Okay.
The huge opportunity in Silicon Valley, I would say, is that the people are so open-minded and willing to help no matter what. Once I got to know a lady in an elevator, and she was like asking me, oh, what do you do there? Are you going to the meetup? I know this guy. I could introduce you. And we were not at the meetup, we were in an elevator going there. This would not happen in Austria. In the elevator, everyone's like stuck on their sides,
In their personal space.
Yeah, and not trying to talk to each other. And then maybe when you get to the meetup, maybe they would approach you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Interesting.
So it's more like, here I feel like also in Austin, like not only in Silicon Valley, I feel like people are willing to give also,
Yes.
and are interested in what you are doing and willing to connect you to somebody that might help you, even though they probably can't. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that is the core thing, I would say.
However, I just want to add something because also Austria is trying really hard, and I also personally think in a really good way, to encourage this collaboration.
Yeah.
So there are initiatives that actually aim for achieving exactly this knowledge exchange. So there's Austrian startups, for example, who organize this really helpful meetups for entrepreneurs where you can connect and also be very supportive in your feedback. Yeah, so
Sure.
that's a good
So
initiative.
how would you like to see the entrepreneurship community in Vienna grow?
I'm from Innsbruck, but in Vienna, I think we should definitely get a bit more of this open-mindedness from the USA and especially from Austin. And to be more specific, I think that our culture of handling failure has to be rethought. So most people are afraid in Austria, at least it's my experience, to fail because failure has quite a big social impact in Austria, and people around you are not that willing, let's say, to accept failure. So the failure tolerance is pretty low, and people accept you to succeed if you start a business. If you fail, your social community is not that willing to accept this. Let's say it this way, and we have to rethink our failure culture.
Have you had similar experiences or seen other entrepreneurs go through something similar?
Yeah, definitely. But I need to point out, like, this is a community problem right now on a bigger scale, right?
Okay.
There's so many people working on that, as she said, like the Austrian startups. There is a fuck up nights in Vienna.
Yes.
I was moderating the last one in order to, get this, hey, it's okay
To
that you
fail.
fucked up, that you failed. It's okay to try it again and again, and that's what you call a serial entrepreneur, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's the thing,
Mhm.
and I really think it's important. And I'm totally with you guys, but we try really hard. like those people who try and see that are really good in doing that what they do.
And also bridging the gap again to the 3DS program. That's actually something very valuable we can get out of this program. Because we get introduced to all of these inspiring entrepreneurs here in Austin. And what we were just talking earlier today at Capital Factory is that we're looking for ways now to get that motivation and that culture of acceptance back to our ecosystem in Austria. So that's something really helpful, this program to make
kind
that
of bridge that
gap.
gap.
Exactly.
And maybe to add just a little story, we also met with people where the third thing, like they said, was, and then I failed at this company. And it was like totally okay for them. In Austria, someone would never tell you that he failed starting a business. And we also had a great talk like an hour ago at Capital Factory, also of a guy who said, okay, I went into this business. Let me tell you, this is a bad idea. I failed. And that's a great thing if you can really openly say, okay, I failed, and that's okay for your community.
Yeah. And your key learnings out of it. Like, this is the thing. It's not about failing. Like, it's not I failed, It's I failed, and these are the reasons why. And this is what I learned out of it. And that's why I should tell everybody else so that we do not all make the same mistakes over and over again.
Keep the lessons to yourself. The younger generation who comes along may end up stumbling over the same hurdles that you did. Let me go left to right again and ask you one thing in your business that you are working on currently that you're just really motivated for, a problem you're trying to solve, or a solution that you're trying to come up with.
Well, I'm working on many different things right now, but I always face the same problems, I would say. Not having enough time is definitely one of those, because when your motivation is so high, you just feel like I could hug trees and do this and that.
Jump over mountains and run for miles.
I could like do everything. Unfortunately, this is not true because you also have 24 hours a day, right? So prioritizing things that need to get done and that are most important, that is one of the key learnings that I learned through my journey, also at the Entrepreneurship Avenue, at the Founders Center of Vienna, like at our University of Economics and Business. I'm working at the Founders Center as well, and it is so cool. And you try to do like everything and help all the students, and then you're like, okay, probably I should start with one thing.
Pull back a little bit, right?
Yeah. So I know that struggle of prioritizing, but what I set as a priority right now for my business is to improve on our product, which is, as I mentioned, the micro-learning videos on a digital platform. And what we are currently working on is the learning design. So how to communicate and teach the skills in the most efficient way so that our target audience, which are very young students, highly motivated, always on the go, can benefit from those videos in the smallest amount of time. So if there's anybody outside with experience in learning design, I'm really happy for your advice, because that's something I'm currently really involved in.
Working on.
Yeah, we are currently working on a request for information project. So it is kind of assistant to make a request for information official, which can be sent by the user to companies to get information about what data is processed by the company. The problem is that often users don't know what questions to ask the companies and in which way they should be asked. And this is where we assist the users by an online assistant tool which helps them doing this. And that's the thing we are currently working on. Our main goal is to help the users to understand which data is processed and what's happening with this data, and not as much as hurting companies or stuff like that. So we want to implement like a good, healthy dialogue between users and companies, where there is not too much effort for the companies to answer these requests, and also users can really, in an easy, convenient way, make these requests to companies. Yeah.
So because you just hit on privacy and data and information, some of our viewers may be interested in knowing why they have recently gotten so many privacy notification updates on all of their social media platforms. Could you maybe simply break that down as to why that has all of a sudden become such a pressing issue?
Yeah, it's basically it's 4 letters which you all probably have heard a lot in the past, and it's GDPR. This is this new huge European general data protection regulation which aims at protecting the privacy of the European citizens. The exact cause for these emails is that you have a new policy of consent. So users have to give much more consent for the companies that they are allowed to proceed the data in certain ways. You get this like confirmation emails because most companies are doing it worldwide now. By law, you would not have to accept these emails, or other way. The companies would not have to send them to you
to the
in the
consumers.
US, the consumers in the US, but they do it because it's easier for them. Yeah, that's the easy breakdown.
One more question about cyberspace. Who do you think is ahead, the good guys or the bad guys?
The good guys.
The good guys
The
are
good
ahead.
guys are always ahead.
So that's a good thing to tell our audience there,
Yeah.
that there is actually being progress made. Because I think
There is progress made. We have now really with this new GDPR, it's like a new global standard set by the European Union. And basically every bigger company around the world has applied it and is working on compliance with the GDPR. And that's a really huge step and a big thing, which was accompanied by the European Union. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a little bit about gastronomy. Let me ask you a little bit about hospitality in that industry. What is its strengths right now, and what do you see it going in the future?
One of the strengths of gastronomy is that it is going to exist, obviously, because people need to get food, accommodation, etc. But I think that it's going to change in the way that we have never seen it before. Like, for example, with the hotel industry and Airbnb, you can see there was an innovator and he did it right. I mean, that's what you can say. Some people don't like it. I mean, I'm part of those people because we own a hotel. Like, shoot.
More competition.
Yeah, more competition and like really good competition. Yeah. But on the other hand, that's how life goes, When someone has a really good idea and he tries to innovate and he does it right, that's the thing that happens.
Is the industry able to adapt quickly?
I hope so. I think there is a lot of government regulations, but also for example, Airbnb, Uber, we have like a lot of Uber issues also in Vienna. So I think the law has to adapt to it because, as I said, it's an innovation. It didn't exist before. So you need to, check out the weaks and strengths and what do you need to do.
So that's kind of part of business, though, and what you're doing and going out and speaking with entrepreneurs is trying to push at those boundaries, though, isn't it? And do you find it a struggle in that community to be able to either come up with new ideas or struggling against some old ways that business is being done? And I know that Airbnb might have adapted, but is the hotel industry in general going to have that ability?
I do see the struggle. I see people having hotels or taxis, for example, that say, no, it was like this and it has to stay like that. The old, I would call them the old-fashioned people.
Right.
They don't want to, let go what they did for years and years. But that's, as I said, that's how it works. Like someone comes, does it better, innovates, and then you need to let go and you need to adapt. You need to be the one. You could be like a leader in that field. You could adapt. You could whatever you want. You basically can choose, but holding on to something that is old-fashioned.
And it's not making you competitive too, right? If
Yeah.
somebody's able to come up with something newer and quicker.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about micro-learning and micro-education. How important is it for either communities in Austria or communities all over the place? And is this going to be something that will be able to replace the schooling and education system in countries, or are you trying to supplement it?
Good question. So to answer the first part of your question, microlearning, what it actually is and what's the potential behind it, it's a pretty easy concept. So you have those 2 to 3 minute long videos that break down larger topics into bit-sized content. So the user really, or the viewer of the video really sees only a part of the bigger content, which allows the user to choose which part of which subject he or she wants to see or to watch or to learn. But regarding the second part, no, I don't think it's going to replace the educational system. It's just an addition outside of the system. So still, I think technology has the potential to change how education works, not only microlearning videos, but as a part of the entire change. And the potential that technology holds for education is differentiation. Because right now, all the students in the classroom or even at university, they listen to the same unique source of knowledge in front of them, who is sharing the same thoughts at the same speed, at the same difficulty level for the entire audience. And what technology can do, and there are concepts like the flipped classroom, is that you can learn at your speed and also at the complexity level you are capable of. Yeah. So it allows educational institutions, schools, universities, and so on, to use the time, the present time, more efficiently, so that professors or teachers can rather interact as coaches or facilitators instead of this unique source of knowledge in front of all the students.
Interesting. Let's close it out with this. What is something that you would tell a future applicant for 3DS? What is the information that you want to bring back to them for the next group?
Be excited.
Yeah, okay. And do
Be
it.
Excited and do it. Apply.
Yes.
Really. Where's it here? Apply. Apply. Do it. We also should take the chance to thank our hosts. Thank Brianna. Thank Molly. They were absolutely great. Thank Cam, the CEO of 3DS. And also to say a big thank you to the State Department, who done a part of the financing, and also to the ambassador of the USA in Austria, Mr. Trevor Tainer. Yeah.
And one last point from my side. I really want to thank the people that join this journey, because this is so amazing. We're only 3 out of 14 people. And I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, we are a family by now. And it was just only 1 week, you know? In 1 week, I don't even see my mom back at home. And this is an incredible journey. I'm so happy to share it with so many different, amazing individuals. And also big thank you to them that they make it possible that we have such a nice adventure together.
And I can only add to that what you just said. Apply for the next program, and it's definitely worth some hours you put into that application, but the experience you get out from it, it's really something very unique.
Awesome.
We are very grateful.
Oh, hold on, please bring sweaters with you.
Yeah.
Those Austrian Austin people are crazy. It's so hot outside.
We like our AC, huh?
Yeah.
AC cranked way up.
This is not my voice, people. I just don't have a voice because of the AC. So sweaters, hoodies, bring everything you got from Austria.
Yeah.
Well, when you come, bring an extra sweater or an extra jacket with you while you're in the classroom. But on behalf of the people here in Austin and everyone you've been able to meet with, we're happy you're here. We're happy that you got to experience the city and learn something, and we look forward to bringing the next class of 3DS entrepreneurs here to Austin and making them feel at home. Good luck on your way back, and what we'll do to close it out is we will add all of their links and how you can contact them onto our video so that you can reach out to them if you have any other questions or comments. On behalf of the World Affairs Council in Austin and 3DS, my name is Dan Hamilton. Thank you for joining us.
Come to Austria, join us in Vienna or also in Salzburg. I have a hotel and a restaurant in Salzburg called Hotel Flair. and Gasthaus zum Guten Hirten, which means Good Shepherd. So let us know if you're in Vienna or in Salzburg or somewhere else. Reach out to us and we'll be happy to have you.
If you would like to chat about education or learning design, I'm always happy to talk about it. So the best way to reach me is via email. And if you have any chance of coming and traveling to Vienna and you want to meet the ecosystem there, like Entrepreneurship Avenue or Austrian startups, please feel free to reach out and I'm happy to help.
I'm Manuel Bürgler from datencheck.org. You can reach out to me via email at info@datencheck.org or at Twitter or LinkedIn.